Looking for clarity and confidence when it comes to decision making for your business? You've come to the right place. You're now listening to the Atomic Business Coaching Podcast.
I am Adam.
And I'm Tom.
And together we are Atomic Business Coaching,
where our stories are your solutions.
Always fun, my brother.
I tell you, man, it's been a while, but we're having some fun now.
It hasn't been that long. Yes. You know, we have focused a lot of our recent time on new clients. And it has been quite the amazing journey. And Tom and I discussed before this, we think it may be a good use of everyone's time, and we appreciate everyone who's been listening. We thought it might be a good use of time to kind of do our tagline, which is our stories are your solutions. And we've had some pretty great experiences with clients and helping them push through things, uncovering new things. So I think we'll do that today. Sound good, Tom?
Yeah, it sounds great. That sounds awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, one of the things that we've been noticing a lot, is people's anxiety sometimes causes them to get distracted. And a lot of times that distraction either helps them to look only to the future or only look back at the past. And people forget the present moment. And a lot of the decisions that we encourage people to make are in the present so that you can figure out what the future steps need to be. And a lot of what we are realizing is that when people are avoiding a certain situation, they're not doing what they want to carry out. Or, we've had a client that's been struggling with shiny object syndrome. And the thing is that they're looking for something more because they're not willing to deal with the pain of the moment. And, Adam was in some back spasm a couple of weeks ago. And I said to him, Adam, I said, the pain of this moment is what brings you into the present, because your body is telling you to slow down for a minute and really observe what's going on in the present. And it with this epiphany that we had, like, holy cow, pain is a great example of what it sometimes takes for us to actually be in the present moment.
Yeah. And I went through that pain and I was in the present moment. And like I said earlier, one of the big things I'm trying to do this year is have pattern recognition. And Tom and I talk every week about our clients. And when we were talking about this one, I started to recognize this pattern that they were having. And they've self-diagnosed they have shiny object syndrome.
Yep.
And that's what we realized is as they were not dealing with the present, not dealing with the current moments, what that was causing is they were either getting super frustrated about what used to happen in their lives and relating it to right now, or worse, what I saw a lot was they were constantly thinking about what will happen in the future. And that sometimes it was for setting goals, and they would all of a sudden change and pivot and be like, all right, there's a whole new goal I'm going to set. And they got really excited about that. And the reason they got excited is biologically, when you actually set a goal and you say, okay, I'm about to go do this big thing, you're super excited about it. And chemically, all the great things like dopamine, norepinephrine, and everything else is released, and you're charged up and you're ready to go. But it's unwarranted, right? It's just a thought that's giving you that feeling. You didn't actually do anything yet. So when this person decides to pivot, and they have done it very often, they can avoid the current pain, as Tom was saying, the current pain that they were going through right now, and they could think about the future and what may happen and what will be. And what that does is allows you to avoid anything that's right in front of you. And the issue that I found with this, on top of everything else we've discussed, the issue that I found with this is they're always thinking about the future. So every time they're in the current moment, they're thinking about the future, which means in the current moment, nothing is actually happening. Nothing is taking place. And that's something that we recognize through this client that hopefully you don't have that problem.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and it's such a profound, example of how important it is to stay in the present moment, because when you deflect from the present moment, you're not dealing with the issues and the pain of the moment and the things that you need to really work through in order to move forward. One of the things that we know about being present and then deflecting to the future or the past, that's a lot of where like addictive behaviors come from too. Right? And one of the things that, I notice a lot, I've worked with a lot of people who have had traumatic backgrounds prior to working with Adam. In my other practice, it's really about looking at trauma as a disruptor of your life in some way, and not dealing with the emotional effects of that trauma is what really causes a lot of people to deflect in the present, to go either back or go to the future. And what we do is we slip into those negative habits that we have. And every opportunity where you find yourself chasing something else and you get the excitement of that, it's the addiction of that excitement, right? You get addicted. Dopamine, the reason dopamine is involved in this is because dopamine is that instant relief, it's that instant gratification. And dopamine is a huge part of addictive behaviors, whether it's alcoholism, whether it's drugs, whatever it may be. It's that rush that you get, and you get that rush because you're getting some fulfillment, but it's empty fulfillment. It's not real fulfillment. And when we don't pay attention to the present moment and we just jump to the future, nothing gets done. So the key is when you're going through the pain, you have no choice but to deal with the pain. When your body hurts, you're in that moment. You're not doing anything else other than being in that moment. And that's what we have to pull our clients into when we recognize that they're going into the future too far, or they're really living in the past with all my regrets and what I didn't do here and what I should have done. When you feel that pain in the moment, that's the opportunity to heal from whatever it was in the past. And that's how you have to look at it. And that's what causes when business owners are stressed out, when you're self-employed and you're stressed out, the last thing you want to do is deal with the pain of the moment. You want to get past it so you can get on to the things that you really want to do. And that's the struggle. It's living now to prepare for the future, not living for the future.
Yeah. And people deal with it. They use it as a coping mechanism, right? So they'll all of a sudden decide, I do have this pain, and they go back to whatever their old coping mechanism to deal with pain was, instead of dealing with it in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're a business owner, you have to go through pain, okay? Nothing is just handed to you. It is a ridiculous amount of work to start anything, to maintain something, to grow something. There is always going to be pain. And what I was explaining to this client was, I analogized it to working out, right, into the gym. And you go to the gym, and I was joking about, and some of you can't see this, but you get calluses, right, from lifting weights. Mm-hmm. And as you work out and you build up these callus, right, that means you can grip a little bit stronger. And as you work out your muscle and you get pain, right, you have this pain after you work out, well, you're developing more muscle. You have hypertrophy, right? And you're building those muscles so next time you go and apply that same load to yourself, you could do it once again. And that's the idea, is you go through that pain so you can be stronger, so you can come out the other side better. And if you never go through the pain, you're going to always be a weaker person. And the key to this is you gain competency. Okay. So when you become competent, okay, it gives you confidence. And a lot of times people don't want to go through the pain because they don't want to feel foolish. They don't want to look like an idiot, right? But I heard Mike Tyson say this recently. I don't know when it was from, but he's like, you got to be willing to be a fool, right? Like, you have to be willing to be an absolute fool to be great at anything. We all suck in the beginning, you know? So that's the thing is that pain is going to allow you to grow. It's going to allow you to learn. It's going to allow you to experience the trueness of the moment that you're in right now. And you will become aware of many things. And some of those things you become aware of may be, I am horrible at this. I hate it. This is not good for me. Well, that's good that you went through that, because now you can recognize and realize it and make a conscious decision on where to go forward from here, instead of just letting life carry you down the stream of wherever it wants to take you.
You know, you're hitting on a really important point with going through the pain of the moment. And one of the things that you go through is the judgment of yourself in that moment, and that struggle to become competent, right? The struggle of the judge is such an important part of this. You know, I once worked with an actress who was so upset at times when she couldn't get that song done and she couldn't get that, you know, that part right. And it really took a lot of work, and she would get frustrated with it. And the amazing thing is, I said to her was, has everything always come easy to you? And she said, yeah, everything has always come easy to me. I said, oh, so this is something you actually have to start to work at. And I think what people don't realize is that some things are going to come easy to you. And some things you will be very competent in quite easily. But if you're really going to develop true competence around as much as you can in your life, you're going to have to go through painful growing moments. I mean, I always analogize it. You not like analogize it to muscles, but I look at it as, women understand this. Women get this, that any woman who's ever had a baby, you go through that 9-month period and you go through all of these pains and these changes to your body, and you go through this labor to yield a child. And the child is the byproduct of all of that hard work that your body is doing, that you're doing. And when you look at it that way and you realize, oh my God, there's so much effort that goes into it, but such a great thing comes out of it. And, it's such an amazing process. But you were incompetent going through that. You learned that. And then when you have multiple pregnancies, you have that competence and you know what's going on and you understand it more and you learn it because you've been through the hard work of the labor and the gestation period and you understand it. That's like with any business. Right? When you start a business as a self-employed person, you start something, you create this job for yourself, you're going to go through a ton of growing pains. It's not easy working for yourself. And I think that's what a lot of the things that we see with our clients, Adam, is that people become self-employed and they want to be a business owner and all this, and they don't realize how hard that work really is. Yeah. And it is painful to get it up and running. And that's why most businesses, by the 5th year, if you're in business for 5 years, you've got a solid foundation. But most businesses fail in that first 5 years because of how hard it is, and people are not willing to face that pain and go through that and grow.
And we're not saying just go through pain to go through pain's sake, right? You don't want to have a painful life. There's nothing fun about that. No. But there's certain things that are going to be painful and unavoidable. So the thing really, when you look at that, is you can choose what you want to go through, right? You can make a conscious decision of, this is what I'm going to do. And this is something I talk to many people, and I always have to kind of remind myself when I'm making decisions on things. And, a lot of what Tom and I do is bring confidence and clarity to decision making. And I always put this very simple question to myself, to people is, are you interested in this or are you committed to it? Right? So if you're interested, it's like, maybe I want to do this. I think I'll try. And you may do a little bit here and a little bit there. But the moment it gets painful, you're going to stop. Right? You're like, I'm no longer interested in this. It's what's the point of me doing this if it hurts, whether mentally or physically, or stealing time from other people. But if you're just interested in doing something, you probably shouldn't do that. And you can definitely have hobbies and try out little things on the side. But when you're, as a business owner, you have to be committed to it. And when you're committed to something, that means there's no excuses. There's no way around getting it done. And it's by any means necessary. I'm going to accomplish whatever this is. And if that means working 80 hours this week, that's what it means. If that means you're going to live on ramen noodles and you got to pay all your employees more money than you're making, that's what it's got to be. But that doesn't mean it's forever. Pain isn't forever, right? As long as you are working towards the solution, right? If you have the solution, then you can get through that as a better person. And that's truly what we do at Atomic Business Coaching. We help people walk through those things.
Right. So. And you're so right. It is a season. Pain is a season. Everything has its season. And in the beginning of your business, it's a season. It's a season of pain. It's a season of growth. But once you get past that, the fruits of your labor are extraordinary. As long as you've done it right and you've committed to it. And, we posted a little while ago, a clip of someone talking about adversity and how we put ourselves through adversity and how many people actually would put themselves through adversity on a regular basis. And we don't think of that in the context of going to the gym and the physical adversity that you put yourself through. Well, you put yourself through a growing adversity in your business in those first couple of years. You put it in every single time you achieve success, right? There's an opportunity when you've achieved success to go higher and to level up and to keep going. And when you go through those periods of transition, those are the painful seasons of your life. But you have to put yourself through the adversity, because putting yourself through the adversity of that moment is what's going to strengthen you to become a better version of yourself. And it's going to test your commitment to your business. It's going to test the commitment to what you're doing. So the more you're able to get past that adversity, that pain or that struggle, whatever it may be, the better you're going to be in the end when you transition to your next season.
And adversity is a very difficult thing for people who are super talented. Okay, like you were talking about that actress and like this client of ours. I mean, they grew something to amazing back in the past. They grew it beyond what even I think even me and you could ever do. For certain, I don't want to give too much information, but
right.
when you have an extreme amount of talent, you don't deal with adversity much in your life. Okay, so I would rather, if I had an employee or if I had a basketball team, talent is great, but I would rather have someone that's super committed to improving and getting better. So if you have talent, God bless you. It's a great thing to have. And I'm sure every person listening or watching this has some sort of a talent. And hopefully you have one that you have applied towards your business. But there'll be other things that you are not talented at. And because you've never had to struggle and you've never had adversity, it may be very difficult for you to go through that. So you can do this on a much smaller scale on a regular basis. And you can give yourself these adversity challenges. There's a guy, Ed Milet, great personal development speaker. He used to be a football player. And he talks about when he goes to the gym, if he's supposed to do 10 reps, he always makes himself do one more. No matter what it is. If he's supposed to run, for an hour, he's like, I'm going to run for an hour and 10 minutes. And he always pushes himself one more. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do one more. So you can make these little challenges, whether they're mental or physical or commitment to something that you're going to do a little bit more than you've ever done before. It may be something you've always done in your life. And now you're just going to commit to this adversity of I have to improve. Well, that's going to start developing that callus as we talked before. And you're going to grow even more to learn that you have an ability to deal with adversity. So then when something that's not of your choosing comes to you and you have to deal with it, you'll be much more prepared to go through that.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think my son has been listening to Ed Milet because he told me that the other day. He said he was doing a bunch of push-ups and he said, I always do the number I got to yesterday plus one more. And it's so, and he's developing, he's a young 14-year-old guy and he's just started to work out, but he's doing these things and he's got the right mindset around it. And that's what this is. It's a mindset, right? It's a mindset of do that one more, face the adversity, face the pain, work through it, recognize it as a temporary season in your life because everything is temporary. Every season we move so quickly. One week we're sick, the next week we're better, and then we're better for a while. And that sickness, it may have knocked us down, but it only knocked us down for a couple of days or a week, and we think it's like this greatest knockdown, but it was such a temporary season. But that's because you're being very, very present in the moment, and you're recognizing the value of that. So if you've been knocked down lately, if you've been feeling that, take a minute to recognize that you've got to go through and learn something from this experience. If your body is telling you slow down, if it's telling you to stop for a minute, if your business is moving too fast and you're losing your direction, you're losing your focus, take a minute to just pause and reevaluate everything and recognize that it's just a temporary season with a little bit of adversity so that you can produce and be the best at what you're doing at that time. So take it as one day at a time. Take it as one moment at a time. The only thing you have is right now. We only have this moment. The future is irrelevant and so is the past. Because in this moment, recognize you have everything that you need. You have all the approval of yourself, all of the security that you need, and all of the control in this moment. And that's what's so important when facing the adversity. You got to look to where your control is. And it has to be you recognize that no matter what comes at you, you control how you respond to it. And if you can control how you respond and recognize that it's a temporary season, you're going to be that much more successful in everything that you're doing.
You got it. And you said something about controlling, right? And we had another client of ours recently that was dealing with emotion, and they were about to go through some pain, and they recognized, I'm about to go through some pain. And they had this emotion, and they were like, oh, I shouldn't be upset about this, and I shouldn't be angry about this. And we corrected them and like, no. You can't control your emotions. And just like Tom said, you can control what you do about that. You can control how you go through that. But that was it was an emotional pain that this client was going through. And they were trying to avoid it, or maybe not avoid it. They were trying to say that it's not a good thing. And your emotions are uncontrollable, right? You're going to feel angry. You're going to feel excited. You're going to feel upset. You're going to be pissed off. You're going to be angry. Like all these things are going to happen. Okay. And it's you have to accept those, process it, and then you can move through it. Mm-hmm. But that's what we're saying is it's the conscious decision of how am I about to react to this? What actions am I going to take based off of this emotional feeling? And if you put yourself in those states more often, you'll be well prepared to deal with them ongoing.
Absolutely. Do not gaslight yourself. Feel your emotions. Don't invalidate those. Validate your emotions. Let them be. And like Adam just said, process them, accept them, let them go. But don't try to deflect from them. You have to go through it. You have to face the pain. You have to engage with it and understand it. Because if you deflect it, it's just going to keep coming back. We don't like to be in pain. We do not like to be in pain. So deal with it and learn how to correct it for the future so that you don't experience this type of pain again. Let it be something else that you experience that's painful. Let it be something else that comes in. But take this lesson as an opportunity to correct it so that when you come across it again, you have the tools that you need to move on and to actually feel it and move through it and let it go.
Perfect, man. And tools. So I think that's a great place to stop. Hopefully you got some information out of this episode. Again, we appreciate you listening and we'll see you soon.
Goodbye. Ciao.